Best TV 2020, the world's best 4K and 8K TVs. Including top OLED and QLED buys, T3. Meet the very best TVs available right now, including the top 4K and 8K smart TVs. With mind-blowing HDR and amazing AI-based processing. Right now is a very good time to buy yourself a new 4K or 8K TV. Some of the best TVs from 2019 are now getting big price cuts in anticipation of 2020 models arriving in the next few months. But the coming models aren't as a big a leap forward as we've seen in previous years. So if you keep an eye on the best TV deals for the sets we're featuring here, you can get some astoundingly good sets for remarkable prices. 4K resolution is now the expectation for TVs. The market has fully transitioned from HD, and the best 8K TVs are already claiming the high end. Helpfully, there's no shortage of 4K content to make the most of your 8 million pixels. All the key streaming services, including Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Disney+, YouTube, Apple TV and Rakuten offer a healthy selection. Sky, BT and Virgin Media also have 4K channels available on their respective pay TV platforms. There's a wide library of 4K Blu-ray discs available too, and is well established in gaming, with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series 10 taking that to the next level this year. So whatever Ultra HD set you opt for, you'll not be short of stuff to watch on it that takes full advantage of the resolution. And all the sets are fantastic at upscaling HD video to look great at 4K. Of course, not all Ultra HD tellies are created equal. There's a world of difference between competing sets and the different technologies used. Check out our guide to OLED versus QLED to have these two TV types explained in plain English. Of course, most of the very best sets here are quite expensive. But we also have top options from our best TVs under £1,000 guide and our best TVs under £500 guide. And that's without unpicking the differences between LED, OLED and QLED screen technologies, the various flavors of HDR and the nascent attractions of 8K. For viewing in a bright room, our current top choice is the phenomenal Samsung Q950TS. This 8K QLED screen combines high vibrancy with class-leading HDR performance and sensational color reproduction. Plus its upscaling really does make 4K video look close to 8K, it genuinely makes 4K look better than it would normally. Which is great at bigger screen sizes. Thanks to an innovative full-array backlight. It not only delivers convincing shiny highlights, but also does a fine job managing deep black levels. In every sense. It's a peerless performer. It is, however, very expensive. If you want a 4K LED screen that's very nearly as good, with big HDR and brightness advantages, we recommend the Samsung Q95T, Q90T. The tech is very similar, in a slightly cut back form, but still a cut above the competition. If OLED is more your style, because you prefer to watch movies in controlled light where OLED's superior near-black performance really comes into its own, our pick is the LG CX, which delivers incredible nuance in its colors and contrast, plus excellent image processing from LG's AI-based system. It's also packed with features, including one of the best smart TV platforms, and every new feature supported by the PS5 and Xbox Series 10 on all its connections. Shortlisting your next television can be a complicated business. But a few simple rules of thumb will help. As we move from HD to 4K and ultimately 8K, screen size becomes a key consideration. To see incremental differences in resolution, you'll probably need to buy a bigger screen than you had previously. Or move your seating closer. Long story short, think big. Then buy bigger. Counterintuitive it may well be. But ultra-large 8K screens are perfect for smaller rooms. If you want to really see every drop of detail, everything you think you know about viewing distances is changing. Then there's viewing environment. If you tend to watch in high ambient lighting, or during daytime, an LED or QLED screen will typically serve you better. If you prefer to view with low or no lighting, an OLED will deliver greater subjective contrast and shadow detail. Smart platforms are no longer a decisive reason to buy. All TVs are smart these days. And the choice of apps ubiquitous, focus on image quality, price and any other features you're keen on. 2160p 4K resolution opens the door to more detail without any obvious on-screen pixel structure, while wide color gamut panels and high brightness panels make for vibrant, color-rich images. Even when viewing regular HD TV channels, the quality of HD upscaling has also never been better. As the power of image processors grows exponentially, all the main TV brands are now fast-tracking image processing, which utilize advanced AI with deep learning and machine learning for better picture clarity. With high dynamic range HDR, images enjoy a greater sense of realism. HDR is basically a technology that enables TVs to show a broader range of colors and brightness, closer to what the eye is capable of seeing. Bright highlights, such as reflections and fireworks, glint and glow more realistically. HDR also allows for greater subtle shadow detail, adding extra depth. There is a caveat though. Cheaper LED screens may claim HDR support, but they often lack the inherent brightness to actually do much with it. At the high end, the dynamics will always be more pronounced. HDR comes in a variety of flavors. Static HDR, aka HDR10, is the standard. It's used on UHD Blu-ray and by streaming services. Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus are dynamic HDR variants, able to optimize HDR characteristics on a scene-by-scene basis. Thanks to the use of dynamic metadata, Dolby Vision is the more widely used of the two. It's favored by Netflix, Disney+, Apple TV, iTunes and UHD Blu-ray. HDR10 Plus appears on some discs, but is more commonly used by Amazon Prime. Most manufacturers support one or the other, a few Panasonic, Philips favor both. Audio is often a key differentiator between models. Flagship 4K TVs tend to have enhanced sound systems, often with support for Dolby Atmos, the immersive 3D sound format. Not only is Dolby Atmos good for your ears, having it in a TV can represent a big saving on additional external audio systems. The flagship TV in Samsung's 2020 range is our new pick for the best TV you can buy, thanks to the way it takes 4K video and boosts it to really make use of its 8K resolution. Even though 8K content is non-existent at this point, it feels like such a revelation that it won RT3 Awards 2020 award for Best TV. The AI-based upscaling does an incredible job of filling the 33 million pixels with images that still look natural and pristine, not like they've been processed. Given that this TV only comes in at bigger screen sizes, this could not be more welcome. It's the best way to watch 4K. Put simply, and the job it does of upscaling regular OLED HD is highly commendable as well, with only a few tiny processing imperfections slipping in that aren't much different to what you see when upscaling on 4K TVs. Even more luxurious is the HDR performance, thanks to a powerful direct full-array backlight, producing massively bright images beyond almost anything we've seen before, but with 480 areas of local dimming for turning that backlight down when needed. It's also capable of colossal contrast, even in bright and dark areas right next to each other. This kind of thing used to be OLED's main strength, but this can go several times brighter than the best OLED TVs, and almost matches it for black level performance. It's just astounding. It feels like a premium product too. It's stunningly thin and sleek. But more noticeable is that lack of bezels on three sides, so it looks like the image is just suspended in the air. To really complete that effect, all of its ports are housed in an external box, called the One Connect, which connects to the TV over a single cable, making it ideal for tidy living rooms. Add to that an excellent smart platform that makes it easy to watch any streaming or catch-up services you want, and you have a more than complete package. You have the best TV money can buy right now, but it does cost a lot of money. It comes in 65-inch, 75-inch and 85-inch sizes, which are all available in the UK, though only the 85-inch version is available in the US. The good news is that there's a variant of this TV called the Q900T, which ditches the One Connect box and puts the ports on the TV itself, making it thicker, but is otherwise exactly the same, except for being significantly cheaper. The LG CX is the blockbuster of LG's 2020 range. It's got the same image quality at TVs double its price, but delivers them at a price more people can afford. Especially now that there's a new 48-inch size that's even less expensive. Alongside the 55-inch, 65-inch and 77-inch models. There's no big leap forward for OLED technology here. The developments in picture quality here are down to improvements in processing, making better than ever use of OLED's ability to bring out detail and subtlety in dark areas of the screen. Brightness peaks at around 750 nits, which is normal for quality OLEDs. But because this handles the breadth of its contrast range better than almost any TV we've seen, it certainly feels brighter than that. And OLED's ability to put bright pixels right next to dark ones continues to look stunning. The new image processing here also helps with making detail and skin tones more realistic, making the overall image a notable improvement, especially when you're watching something richly cinematic in a room with the right lighting, though the inclusion of Dolby Vision IQ means it will tweak what the screen shows to match the light levels in the rooms without harming contrast. This is also the perfect TV for those looking at buying a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series 10, or to use with a PC, thanks to its excellent gaming features. We've measured incredibly low lag of just over 13 milliseconds in its gaming mode, which is almost as good as it gets, but the gaming mode keeps an impressive amount of image optimization still going on, so it looks glorious. On top of that, it supports auto low latency mode, variable refresh rates and 4K video at 120 frames per second, all major features in the next-gen consoles. It also includes NVIDIA G-Sync support for PC gaming with an NVIDIA graphics card. The gaming support here is so good, in combination with the TV's overall quality, that it won the award for Best Gaming TV at the T3 Awards 2020. Why have we mentioned two models, the Q95T and the Q90T, here? Because they're essentially the same TV, but with a small practical difference. The Q95T has an external box to house all of its connections, which connects to the panel over a single tiny cable. The Q90T has its connections on the TV unit itself, and so is slightly thicker as a result. The Q90T is also notably cheaper in countries where both versions are sold. But note that in some places, you'll only be offered one of them anyway. With that out of the way, we can talk about the thing you really need to know about both the Q95T and the Q90T, the fantastic HDR images you get from the QLED panel. The key thing here is the brightness of over 2000 nits, double what you get from even the brightest OLED sets, and easily 4 times brighter than your average budget TV. This is thanks to a full array backlight, much like the 8K Samsung Q950Ts above, and combined with the wide, rich colors of an OLED panel, it looks just incredible. It's so vibrant and lush, but still maintains realism for people's skin tones and grittier scenes. Localized dimming means it can give you pretty good depth of contrast too, while it can't match the OLED screens for the nuance of detail in dark scenes. It is able to put bright and dark elements next to each other with a very limited amount of backlight bleeding between them. The AI-based upscaling is massively impressive too, so both HD and 4K sources look magnificent, and it's well suited to gaming, thanks to low input lag and a load of future-proofed features for next-gen consoles. It's a premium-priced 4K screen, there's no doubt, but you can see where your investment has gone. It's bold and beautiful. The Sony A8 UK, A8H US is the more affordable of Sony's 2020 OLED TVs, and its price puts it in direct competition with LG's CX, and makes a massively strong case for itself as an alternative. Sony is the leader when it comes to image processing, and the deft touch this TV provides to make sure that motion looks totally natural, or to upsonvert non-HDR video to something close to real HDR so it pops more on the screen, makes everything you view on it better. That's all rolled in with the overall picture quality, which is an AV enthusiast's dream. The way it handles subtle shades, areas of hard contrast and overall color is just about impossible to fault. The one arguable issue with its picture is that it's not as bright as LG's OLED TVs, and is much less bright than the Panasonic OLED, and even more so than the Samsung TVs above. It's also a little reflective, so doesn't stand up well to bright sunlit rooms. But if your use is mostly in controlled lighting, that won't be a problem at all. Also impressive is the built-in sound system, which uses the screen panel itself as a speaker, which means unlike most thin TVs, sound is directed right towards you. This makes elements like dialogue immediately clearer and richer. It's no substitute for surround sound, but whereas with LG's CX we'd recommend a soundbar right away. This is kind of like having one built in already. For smart TV functions, you've got Android TV, which is fairly comprehensive for app support, though isn't the slickest option on the planet. Those planning to get the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series 10 may want to consider another set. Though, it doesn't support 4K at 120 FPS or auto low latency mode, which are features of the new consoles. If you don't care about next-gen consoles and want simply incredible movie images with sound, you don't have to immediately pay to upgrade. This is an ideal TV, also known as the Sony 65X950H in the US. This TV is Sony's flagship 4K LCD TV for 2020. But it doesn't cost flagship money, it costs much less than the LG CX or Samsung Q95T. For example, it still delivers high-class image quality, though, with brightness peaking at over 1000 nits. You get bountiful HDR from it, and Sony's image processing is second to none. Colors are supremely rich without coming across as fake, and skin tones in particular have a class-leading realism to them, while still being vibrant. It also handles motion better than just about anything else, giving fast scenes in movies an authentic look but without any judder at the same. It clears up and adds detail, which is especially great in sport. It's also a highly talented upscaler, so HD video and streams look at close to 4K as possible. It's not a great choice for gaming thanks to lack of support for 4K at 120 FPS and a few other missing features, surprisingly, given that Sony's own PS5 will support them. But if you want a TV bright enough to give you a full-on HDR experience even in a strongly lit room, this is really good choice. Part high-end OLED, part high-end loudspeaker. Philips OLED Plus 984 screen is an inspired co-production between Philips and hi-fi specialist Bowers & Wilkins. Physically a beast, it stands 1.33 meters tall, so you'll need to clear a space in your fancy loft apartment to accommodate it. This audio system, wrapped in acoustically transparent Kvadrat cloth, is a 3-channel design with left, center, right drivers. Tweeters are mounted strategically at either edge of the cabinet to produce a wide stereophonic soundstage. The center channel warrants that classic Bowers decoupled tweeter on top treatment, familiar from its high-end loudspeakers. The set's panel performance is in line with Philips' other current 4K OLED offerings, which for the most part means superb definition, excellent contrast and vibrant hues, courtesy of a third-gen, dual-chip iteration of Philips P5 image processor. The icing on the cake is Ambilight mood lighting, which we're big fans of. HDR support is comprehensive, with HDR, HLG, HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision all catered for. Peak brightness and color saturation are extremely inviting. No wonders televisual eye candy quite like Philips. Some will prefer a more naturalist approach, but we're more than happy with it. If Dolby Atmos isn't a prerequisite, and you have the space to accommodate this techie tower, then the 984 is quite the audio-visual setup. If you're going to buy 8K, it clearly pays to supersize. And there's currently no better 8K HDR experience to be had than from Sony's epic 85-inch ZG9. It combines unmatched image clarity and HDR vibrancy with a brilliantly efficient sound system. Also available as an improbable 98-incher, a snippet £84,999. The ZG9 achieves its astounding HDR brightness courtesy of a highly effective full-array backlight master drive, which uses a backdrop of precisely calibrated LED lights, allied to 8K extended dynamic range pro picture processing. Contrast and HDR punch are sensationally good. The screen accommodates this hefty backlight with a so-called blade architecture design. The panel sits atop a wider frame, which also provides a place to hide 4 forward-facing speakers. This acoustic multi-audio sound system is inspired by, but unrelated to, Sony's OLED acoustic surface audio technology. And we like how it sounds. The quad-speaker arrangement is particularly effective when it comes to steering dialogue and effects around the big screen. Like other Sony high-end displays, the set employs the Android TV Smart OS, the interface of which looks comically huge on this massive display. It also has integrated Google Assistant. Handling the 8K heavy lifting is the latest iteration of Sony's X1 Ultimate Image Engine, which feels like it's finally being let off the leash here. HDR support covers standard HDR10, HLG and Dolby Vision. However, there's no compatibility with HDR10+. The dynamic metadata rival to Dolby Vision. While there's zero 8K content around so far, though there may be as soon as this summer, test footage from Sony has left us hungry to see more. The good news is that 4K upscaling also looks jaw-droppingly fine. Sony's 8K X Reality Pro upscaling, which uses a new, dedicated 8K image reference database, is clearly doing a stonking job. This Master Series monster hints at the future of TV. You don't need it, but you'll probably still want it. Shush, don't let the secret out. But there's really very little difference in the panel or picture processing technology between this and the LG C9 above, or indeed the much more expensive G9 or W9 models. The C9 screen is generally measured as a little brighter at its peak than the B9. So if you want the best picture, it still has a slight edge. But the gap between them really isn't big at all. That's partly down to the fact that the B9 has all the same electronics powering it, including the same strong upscaling and motion handling, plus 120 Hz support, and variable refresh rates, and all the connections you could want. There's no drop in HDR support either, so you get the dynamic images of Dolby Vision support. Plus the WebOS operating system has plenty of apps that support this, including Netflix and Apple TV. Other UK catch-up services are present, as is Freeview Play and Amazon Prime Video, though the HDR10+ support of the latter can't be used, because the TV itself doesn't support it. However, the sound has definitely been skimped on in this TV, to save money, but that's fine, you don't have to spend much at all on one of the best soundbars to compensate. The 55-inch version of this TV has occasionally dipped to just over the £1,000 mark, which is superb value for a future-proof set. But we've picked the 65-inch version because it's the best value big OLED we've seen so far. It's often available for £1,699, which just about edges out other budget OLEDs at the time of writing. This is Sony's mid-range wonder TV for 2020. And finally balances image quality with budget, known as the XH90 in the UK and X900H in the US. The full-array LED backlight here provides bright and powerful HDR that's also carefully balanced to deliver realistic and precise colors. As usual with Sony TVs, the image processing is a big draw here on its own. The way it takes lower-res video and makes it sparkle on the 4K display is second to none. And it also handles motion with a deft touch, helping to avoid judder, but still keeping things looking clear and natural. When combined with the really impressive HDR performance, you've got a TV that feels premium, but falls comfortably into the mid-range price bracket. This is going to be hugely popular in 2020. And deservedly so. That's especially true because this is Sony's lead TV for the PS5. Carrying, ready for PlayStation 5 branding. Because, somewhat inexplicably, it's the only TV in Sony's lineup that's due to get support for every major PS5 and Xbox Series X new TV tech, including ALLM, VRR and 4K at 120 FPS. However, it doesn't currently support these features. They're due in an update. So we obviously have to wait until they're out to actually recommend it for the next-gen consoles. This TV tops our list of the best TVs under £1,000. and was the winner of the T3 Awards 2020 Gong in the same category. For very simple reasons, it offers a full quality OLED experience, but for less than the competition. In fact, with support for both HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision Advanced HDR formats, it's actually better spec'd in this sense than many more expensive TVs. It does use slightly older processing than Philips' latest TVs, and the smart platform is not as comprehensive as the flagship models, but still have all the major streaming services. But these don't diminish the experience at all. Philips' signature vivid colors are here, and OLED's ability to deliver stunning contrast on an ultra-detailed screen is preserved. The image is rich, clear and inviting, and is made even more immersive with the inclusion of Philips Ambilight tech. In terms of pure picture quality for the money, nothing beats this set. It's a cinematic marvel. It's also available as a 65-inch model, but the 55-inch version is the sweet spot for price. This is one of Panasonic's more budget-focused TVs, but you'd be hard-pressed to convince anyone who sees it of that. Not only does it offer colorful, precise visuals from 4K sources, it has every HDR base covered, so it's always eking the most out of every shot. Of course, being a less expensive LED TV, you won't hit the spectacular bright highs on offer from the likes of the Samsung Q90R that tops our list. But what you see is still rich and exciting. Processing is strong for motion control, which makes this an especially good buy for sports fans. And it also upscales fair well, though there are other options at a similar price range that are better for that. Our list of the best TVs under £1,000 goes into more detail. 58 inches isn't a very common size at the moment, but expect to see it become more common in the future. It's only a little physically larger than 55 inches, but feels like a nice extra size upgrade. And here, it gives you a superb amount of real estate for the money. Though this is as affordable as Samsung TVs get, you won't feel like it's been neglected in any way. The plastic build feels perfectly premium. There's support for HDR10 Plus Advanced HDR, and the software is essentially the same as that on higher-end models, including wide support for streaming and catch-up services, including Netflix, Apple TV with AirPlay 2, Amazon Prime Video, and loads more. And, crucially, the image quality also surpasses what you'd expect for the price. Everything looks sharp and detailed, and it even does a damn good job of upscaling from HD. So if you tend to rely on watching non-4K stuff, which is most of it still, after all, you really won't feel like you got a budget TV here. So you've read your rundown of the best TVs to buy and you've hopefully settled on a choice. But perhaps you have a few more questions. Our in-depth guide to buying a TV should have all the answers you need. Or you can peruse the truncated version below. Yes, definitely, although, to be fair, if you buy a new TV, that's what you're going to get whether you like it or not. The resolution of 4K Ultra HD is 4 times higher than Full HD, at 3840x2160. It means a far more detailed picture, with content requiring a lot more bandwidth and storage space. 4K TVs tend to be good at upscaling HD video to Ultra HD, and native 4K content is now widely available from a variety of sources. Our advice: replace your HD screen with a larger 4K UHD model to really enjoy the resolution benefit. Similarly, buy a larger 8K TV than your 4K screen. If you're stepping up again, the lighting on OLED, organic light emitting diode TVs, is achieved by passing an electric current through an emissive electroluminescent film. This technique produces beautiful color and high contrast and also enables screens to be extremely thin and flexible. LG Display is the only supplier of 4K OLED screens to mainstream TV manufacturers, meaning they all use the same panels. But picture processes and implementation all vary, so you can still expect differences between brands. Samsung is the leading exponent of QLED, a variant of LED LCD display technology that uses a highly efficient quantum dot filter that increases brightness and color volume. QLED screens with a full array backlight offer the best performance when it comes to HDR peak brightness and LCD black level control. sometimes called FALD, full array local dimming. These displays are backlit by an array of LEDs, light-emitting diodes, directly behind the screen. This enables localized dimming, meaning immediately adjacent areas of brightness and darkness can be displayed more effectively, and greatly improves contrast. With these edge LED TVs, the LEDs of the backlight are mounted along the edges of the panel. This arrangement enables radically slender displays, but can't achieve the same picture quality as directly lit LED sets. However, edge LED displays do come in far cheaper, which is why the more budget LED TVs out there use this technology. Contrast: bright whites shouldn't have any signs of green, pink or blue in them, while blacks should look solid and not washed out. Gray, green or blue colors, look at how bright and solid they are, how noiseless their edges are, how dotty, richly saturated areas are, and how natural skin looks. Especially in dim scenes. Fine detail: how much texture does the screen give? Does a tree look like a green lump? Or can you see the individual leaves? Motion: check moving objects and quick camera pans for smearing or blurring. Trailing, jerkiness and fizzing dotty noise. Image artifacts: look for blockiness. Color bands, grain, smearing, dot crawl, anything that looks like it's added by the TV's picture processing engine. To provide the best audio to complement the pictures, your TV should be hooked up to a separate audio system, be it soundbar or home cinema separates. But this isn't always an option. So, here's what we listen for when testing a TV's speakers. Bass: deep, rounded rumbles that don't cause the set to rattle or speakers to distort, cramp, or overwhelm the rest of the sound, but that expand when needed. Trebles: treble effects should sound clean, rounded and smooth in loud scenes and shouldn't dominate the soundstage. Soundstage width: depth, a good TV should throw the sound away from the TV to the sides, forward and back, to give an extra dimension to what's on screen, without losing any coherence. For a living room TV, you should be looking for a minimum of 3 HDMI inputs, but ideally 4 if you want to attach a set-top box as well as games consoles, Blu-ray player and media streamer. Most flat screens adhere to the VESA mounting standard, so finding a wall mount that fits should be straightforward. Ensure that the wall in question is strong enough for your large flat screen. Don't make the mistake of fixing your wall mount too high. Above a fireplace is usually a bad idea. The panel should be in your eye line when sitting at seat or sofa level. Watched from an angle, screens can appear to lose contrast and color. Text source: T3.com.